Disney Vacation Club messed up and released the cost of points for the villas at the Disneyland Hotel? Let's take a look. Hi, welcome to my channel, Disney Hobby Guides. Like, subscribe, turn on bell notifications. It really helps me grow my channel. Let's take a look. So, today they sent out a membership email. Well, what is a membership email, you might ask? If you're a member of the Disney Vacation Club system, periodically speaking, they send out emails talking about the club events. Sometimes it's advertisements, sometimes it's promotional material, things like that. But for the most part, today, March 9, 2023, they sent out a membership email, and this membership email was 100% focused on the newest Disney Vacation Club resorts coming to Disneyland, California, which is the villas at the Disneyland Hotel. Now, for the most part, this is promotional material. If you look at it, it says coming soon. Now, when I first saw this email, I was like, oh my God, they had the price per points, they had the point charts, they had the date of sale, all that stuff is out. So I immediately called up my guide. Well, womp womp. No, none of that is available. The only thing that's confirmed is the date of occupancy, which is September 28, 2023. Outside of that, none of this other stuff is out or current, or your guides can speak about it because legally they cannot speak about it until they're ready to. Now, honestly speaking, the guides already have this information. They already have it in their laps. I mean, almost every guide that I talk to has kind of hinted at the fact that they know, but they are legally bounded and obligated not to tell you. Because if they are, it's probably a breach of contract and bad juju is going to happen and all that good stuff. So they can't confirm anything. They will deflect everything. Just be nice to your cast member. Be nice to your sales guide. They can't help you with that kind of stuff. So don't get frustrated with them if they give you that. Let's get that very clear. So now, talking about it, most of this email is talking about just promotional materials. They talk about the dual studios, the one bedroom up to the grand villas, and things like that. They give you a call number and stuff. Now, for the most part, this email was really just meant to kind of entice people's interest and make them curious, right? Oh, I got this email. Is it available? Okay, let's call up my guide. Well, they do that so then you can start your talks, right? If you're not on the interest list on with your guide yet, they will put you on an interest list because they know people are hungry for this particular resort. So it's just there just to kind of start those conversations with your guides to kind of just preemptively hype you and have those talks. So that's the purpose of this email. Now, the most important piece of information, or I should say pieces, plural, is that they actually disclose two very important pieces of information in here. Now, you might not think it's important, but it actually is important, and let's talk about why. So, typically speaking, when a new resort opens, the new resort allows you 50 years from the date of opening. So, if it opened in 2023, hypothetically speaking, your deed should expire in 2073, which is 50 years of more than 2023, right? But they actually confirmed when your deed will expire, which is it could expire as early as January 31st, 2074. So, with that being said, it kind of gives you a little bit of, 50 years and maybe of a quarter of a year, because if it opens in September, you're in the last quarter of this year. So it kind of gives you, 50.25 years of ownership interest, which is great. That's actually really good because you really didn't get 2023. Let's be real here. I mean, you're at the end of the year. No one really has time or room for that. So, having them extended out to January 31st of 2024 is great because, it kind of gives you that a little bit of peace of mind that you're getting about, 50 and a quarter years pretty much. So that's good. So that's one piece of information that they released. The second piece is the bread and butter of this whole video is the cost ranges. Now the cost ranges, it says typically ranges, right? It's not saying that these are confirmed ranges. It says typically ranges from. So let's take a look at that for a second. If it's 34,100 to 60,100, that's your probable range. Well, I'm not even going to talk about the 60,000. The 60,000 is there's too much variables to really kind of calculate what that means. But typically speaking, if you look at current resorts, Alani, Grand Floridian, Riviera, all three of those resorts typically around 300-point range is where you see about 60,000 and above. So that could be 60,000. Now, these values could also may or may not include cost of discounts, right? So if there's discounts or incentives that are given to you if you're buying a certain amount of points, like if you buy like 100 points, they might give you like a few bucks off per point and stuff like that. So they're not indicating whether or not this value includes those discounts or not. But let's make the assumption that these values are not including any incentives whatsoever. If you were to take the current amount of points that are required to pick up an ownership interest, which is 150 points, this 150 points would be for people that are entering into the Disney Vacation Club system with 0 points currently held in any resort whatsoever. Typically speaking, if you buy direct, you would have to buy 150 points. Now, of course, you can buy less, but if you buy less, you will not get the perks, and it kind of defeats the purpose of buying direct at that point. You might as well just go resale unless booking at your resorts actually matters. And yeah, go ahead and buy direct, but that would be anywhere from 50 to 150 points, right? That you would have to buy. Now, let's take some of those variables out. Let's just basically assume that it's 150 points. Now, if you take $34,100 and divide that by 150, it actually comes out very, very close to $227 per point. Now, current resorts, Alani, Riviera, Grand Floridian, are currently asking 217 a point before incentives. So this is actually very much in line with what my original predictions in some of my other videos were saying, which is probably around the 235 range, give or take. So at 227, $10 above the current resorts. That actually makes perfect sense. It is a California interest. They know it's hot. They know people want it. Why ask for the 217 when you can get more, right? So starting it at 227 per point is actually very reasonable if you think about it. When I bought into villas at the Grand California in 2018, that was 235 a point, and then it went up to 280, and then it went up to 310, and now it's at 320 per point. So if you look at that resort versus this resort and having limited real estate in California, it's actually really reasonable that they're asking 227 a point. In fact, I think that's under what it could be. And again, these values could include incentives. Maybe they include incentives. Maybe they don't include incentives. But having it at 227 a point without incentives actually is 100% reasonable, and it could very well open at that. There is no news whether or not there's going to be resale restrictions similar to Riviera, so then the buyer of your contract can only book at the Villas at Disneyland Hotel. That information has not been released, but pretty much make the assumption that you're going to get shafted, and that is kind of the resale restriction that's going to get imposed on that. So with that being said, that's kind of the update and news for today. The deed has been confirmed, and an estimated cost per point, which is 227, has been released and talked about. Now, of course, the 227 is pure speculation. Nothing is confirmed about that. Take that with a grain of salt, but that allows you to budget, because then you would need $22,700 to buy 100 points at this resort, right? If you're going to buy 150 points, then yeah, it'll come out to the 34,100 points. 10% of that is $3,410, or 20% of that is $6,820 is what you would need as a down payment in order to purchase into this resort at those point ranges. Okay, so thank you for joining me. What do you think about this? Follow for more. Thank you. Take care.